We just got back from Acadia National Park, and after spending about a week exploring with our 15-month-old daughter, we were honestly surprised by how baby-friendly it was. We're in the process of making a video about visiting Acadia with a toddler, so if that's why you're here, be on the lookout for that. When you're planning a trip, you never have enough time to do everything, so we thought it'd be fun to share our favorite things we actually did and the places we'd recommend if you're planning your own trip. This isn't some official top 10 list, it's just the 10 things we love the most and would absolutely do again.
One of the best parts about the trip was getting to experience Acadia with our really good friends Chrissy and Felipe. Huge shout out to Chrissy for putting together an incredible itinerary that made this trip feel seamless. To start it off, Cadillac Mountain. If you're only going to do one thing in Acadia, I really think it has to be Cadillac Mountain. We ended up going here twice because we couldn't decide between sunrise and sunset, so we just did both. For sunrise, we woke up around 3:30 in the morning, which is actually insane with the toddler, but surprisingly she loved it just as much as we did. It made us feel better seeing that we weren't the only ones there with toddlers. Also, it's good to know that parking fills up quick, so get there really early, probably about an hour before sunrise. There's something really cool about knowing that you're one of the first people in the country to see the sun come up. Unfortunately, the clouds covered the start of the sunrise, so we never got the epic sunrise view that we hoped for, but it was still a pretty incredible experience getting to see it peek through the clouds. We went back to the Airbnb after this and everyone took a nap, and honestly ended up being a perfect start to the day. Later that day, we went back for sunset and it ended up being better than sunrise in our opinion. Of course, the weather plays a huge part in that, but the vibes were better and you didn't have to wake up at the butt crack of dawn to experience it. Something you need to know before you go is that you'll need separate vehicle reservations if you want to go up to Cadillac Mountain. You book it through recreation.gov and you'll choose either sunrise reservation or daytime reservation. The daytime one also works if you're planning to go for sunset. You just have to enter during your assigned time window. Reservations are released in two batches. 30% are available 90 days before you visit, and the other 70% are released 2 days before, both at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. It's only $6 per vehicle, but that's in addition to your park entrance passes. We recommend creating an account ahead of time. Log in a few minutes early and be ready right at 10 because those reservations can disappear within minutes or even seconds. We recommend getting a group of friends to all log onto their phones and be ready to try and get reservations. All 4 of us did it and only one of us got lucky enough to get the tickets. Again, shout out to Chrissy for coming in clutch. We'll link that below.
Number 2, walk the Ocean Path. One of our favorite easy walks in the park was definitely Ocean Path. It follows the coastline, so you have amazing ocean views pretty much the whole time, and you'll pass some of Acadia's most popular spots like Thunder Hole. It's one of the easiest and most scenic walks in the park, so if you're traveling with little kids like we were, it's a great option. A stroller won't make it the whole way because there are some rocky sections and a few stairs, but a child carrier worked perfectly for us. We actually stopped along the trail and had lunch while looking over at the ocean, and ended up being one of our favorite parts. One thing we weren't expecting was how sunny it was. There's not much shade, so if you're visiting in the summer, definitely bring sunscreen, water, and maybe a hat.
Number 3, Thunder Hole. Thunder Hole is one of those places that's famous for a reason, but I also think it's one of the easiest places to accidentally visit at the wrong time. We tried twice to experience Thunder Hole the way it's meant to be seen. The first time the tide was too low, the second we got there too late. It was still really cool, but without the waves crashing to their full potential, it wasn't nearly as dramatic. So definitely check the tide schedule before you go. From everything we read and from our experience, it seems like it's about 1 to 2 hours before high tide is when it's at its best.
Number 4, Jordan Pond. This ended up being one of our favorite areas in the park. The water is incredibly clear, the mountains in the background are gorgeous, and it has a small cafe to sit and enjoy afterwards. We didn't do the full loop because it's around 4 miles and isn't the most stroller-friendly trail, but even if you don't hike the whole loop, I still think it's worth stopping. You also have to get the famous popovers from Jordan Pond House. They come out warm with butter and strawberry jam, and we also got the blueberry lemonade, which was really good.
Number 5, Beehive Trail. Okay, let's talk about Beehive. If you looked into Acadia at all, you've probably seen pictures of this trail. It's definitely one of the most unique hikes I've ever done because you're climbing up metal ladders. Now I will say, it's definitely not the hike for everyone. If you're scared of heights, it might not be your favorite. And obviously with a toddler, we weren't bringing Ava up the ladder section. Since Ava's sleep schedule was all over the place from traveling, Taylor stayed back with her while the rest of us did the hike. We were on the trail by 6:30 a.m. and we were still waiting in line, so make sure you get there early for this hike. I wouldn't say this is a very challenging hike, but climbing the ladders can be difficult for some. The nice thing is, if the ladder section isn't for you, you can still reach the top by going clockwise on the bowl trail around the mountain instead, so you don't have to climb the ladders to enjoy the views at the top.
Number 6, Wonderland Trail. If you're traveling with little kids, Wonderland Trail is one I'd recommend. It's short and it's easy, and at the end you get this rocky shoreline where Ava could have played forever. Out of everything we did on the trip, I think this was probably her favorite part. She absolutely loved playing on the bed of small rocks. Watching her enjoy something so simple was honestly one of my favorite memories from the whole trip.
Number 7, Ship Harbor Trail. This was probably our biggest surprise on the trip. We almost skipped this trail because we thought it would be similar to Wonderland Trail, but we actually liked it more than Wonderland. It's an easy loop with beautiful coastal views, and it's such a peaceful hike. The only downside is there's a lot of bees on the trail, so just be aware of that if you're going during the summer.
Number 8, Bass Harbor Head Lighthouse. If you're staying on Acadia's quiet side, definitely make time for Bass Harbor Head Lighthouse. It's one of those classic Maine views that you picture when you think of the coast. One thing I'd definitely do different next time is either go early in the morning or later in the evening. We went when the sun was directly behind the lighthouse and it made it really difficult to see and photograph. I'd absolutely still recommend it. I would just time it a little differently.
Number 9, explore Bar Harbor. We also spent some time walking around Bar Harbor, and I definitely think it's worth visiting. It's busy and touristy, but it's a must-do in the area. We spent a couple hours just walking around, grabbing coffee, shopping, and grabbing a quick bite to eat. And we highly recommend getting the blueberry soft serve.
Number 10, eat the lobster. You can't come to Maine and not eat the lobster. I feel like we had lobster every single way. We tried lobster rolls, lobster benedict, lobster scramble. Basically, if they had lobster on the menu, we were probably ordering it. If you've never had one before, I definitely recommend trying a hot lobster roll and a cold one because they're surprisingly different. Even if seafood isn't normally your thing, I'd say it's part of the Maine experience. Now be aware, the food is definitely something you'll spend the most money on while you're on the coast, but it's definitely worth it. One of our favorite places was the Traveling Lobster. It's about 15 minutes from Bar Harbor, or you can stop there on the way in. They offer hot lobster rolls, and this by far had the most lobster meat out of all the places we tried.
Those are our favorite things to do in Acadia National Park, and we can't wait to go back. If you've ever been to Acadia, let us know in the comments your favorite spot, because we're already making a list for next time. Oh, and a quick tip, before you go, download the maps. When you get to the park, the cell service can be spotty. That definitely came in handy for us. And if you're planning a trip there and have any questions, leave those below too. We'd love to help if we can.
Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.